Live streaming and interactive platforms have been quite popular these days, and the COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to move towards the digital modes of interaction, whether it be through voice or video. And considering the present scenario, real-time engagement has been gaining a lot of prominence than ever before. It is actually changing the way how people around the globe communicate in today's digital world. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another great podcast session. I'm Shivani Muthyala. Today, we have Ranga Jagannath, who is a Director of Growth at Agora, to elaborate on real-time engagement and digitalization. Hi, Ranga. Welcome to Analytics Inside podcast.
Hey Shivani, thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you here today.
So, firstly, could you brief our listeners what Agora is all about?
Sure. So, before I get into the genesis of Agora, I'd like to start off by emphasizing again that people engage longer when they see, hear, and interact with each other. And with Agora, you can embed vivid voice and video in any application on any device, anywhere. With this philosophy, Agora was founded in 2014 to be the real time engagement platform for meaningful human connections. Let me try and give you some examples so it's easy for people to understand what we actually do. Some examples that I can talk about or think about are social applications where you have people communicating with each other over live voice and video, either in small groups or in large settings. Then there are education platforms that use Agora for enabling live interactive classes. Telemedicine happens to be another use case where Agora gets used a lot, where patient doctor communication happens. And of course, we'll talk a little more about it along the way. Gaming is another area that we see where a lot of usage happens using Agora, where gamers and game streamers use Agora for live interactivity. So these are some of the examples that I can think of at the moment to try and explain what Agora is all about.
Great. Happy to know about Agora. And could you tell us more about the specializations and services what Agora offers to its clients in a more detailed manner?
Yes, absolutely. So, for brands and developers that are looking to offer highly customizable and scalable and easy to integrate capability on live voice and video, Agora provides real time, low latency voice and video SDKs and APIs, which app developers and product managers can embed into their applications. They need not worry about setting up elaborate infrastructure for this because Agora does all the heavy lifting for this. They do not have to maintain expensive servers and network infra for this. So that's a little bit about what Agora offers in terms of its solutions. And these solutions are agnostic to whichever vertical wants to use it. It can scale vertically or horizontally. However, an app developer or a product manager or business owner wants to use it.
Great. Really sounds interesting. And since you are the director of growth at Agora, we would like to know more about your proactive role and what are your contributions to the company as well as to the industry. Could you elaborate on that front?
Yes, my primary role is business growth in India. But to grow the business, obviously, one needs to have a team. So I am also responsible for hiring. And because we have customers spread across a large number of verticals, we keep getting feedback from customers on how to improve our product or what features they'd like to see in our products. So I am also the voice of the customers back to our product management team. So that's another role which I also play. And while I can't talk about specifics, in the short 3 or 4 years that we have been around, we have managed to attain pole position in this space in the country.
It sounds interesting, and when we actually take a look at the market, there is a lot of shift that is actually taking place with regard to the consumer behavior. So, how are you tackling with this particular situation?
So, one of the things that we've constantly and consciously done is to be very close to what real life mimics. So, which means that we understand, for example, in the space of education, it's very important for both students and teachers to have an engaging and meaningful conversation when a class is being conducted. I'm talking about a physical class, but how do you mimic that in the virtual world? So using some of our tools and technologies, a lot of edtech companies have been able to build some really cool and engaging functionality that mimics this entire environment. So that's one example of what we are doing in the space of edtech. And in the space of gaming, if I were to look at the completely opposite end of the spectrum, so to say, we see a lot of engagement being driven on the gaming side because people want to show their skills while playing games. Similarly, other people that are watching the games want to learn as to how these expert gamers are actually able to play the kind of games and be so good at their skills. So we are seeing a lot of engagement happening on the gaming side, which means that our platforms and our technology has to keep pace with what gamers and the gaming community expects, and we constantly keep adding features and functionality and investing a lot of dollars in R&D to make that experience very smooth and seamless. um, if I were to cut a long story short, I think our true strength is in the R&D capability that we bring and the R&D uh, and innovation that we bring to the table, which enables a whole lot of use cases to very quickly and seamlessly adopt real time engagement. So, these are some of the ways in which we are seeing and we are contributing in how this whole ecosystem is evolving.
Great, and it's really very interesting to know how Agora is actually, contributing to the ed tech and even the gaming, for that matter. So, since the company has a lot to do with the new technologies, how is Agora, employing the artificial intelligence or cloud, and for that matter, analytics, and how is it actually adding some value to its clients?
Great question. So, the Agora SDRTN, as we call it, the software defined real time network, is completely cloud based. So, we leverage the power of the cloud to distribute our technology. And built within the real time network are algorithms that actually enable very seamless and very fast and very efficient capabilities to deliver content from one end to the other. And we are talking about real live content. These are not recorded content, unlike a CDN. This is live content that needs to be delivered back and forth. You can't have a situation where I say something, it takes a long while to reach you, and you said something, and then all that we are hearing and saying is maybe a few hellos before the actual conversation starts. So that's not something that is affordable in today's day and age in real time engagement. So that's one of the things that we have built into the SDRTN. And coming to the analytics part, you are absolutely right, because while all these are happening, it's important for a business owner to actually understand how good each of their conversations are actually going, not from a point of view of the content of the conversation, but from the point of view of performance. What was the typical latency? Were there jitters? Were there packet losses? How did packet losses get handled? What was the kind of what was the level of engagement that was happening between people that were on that call? How long did that call last? Did it meet its eventual requirements? So all these things are captured by the analytics platform, and business owners have access to it depending on what they want to see in that platform. Talking about AI, the entire platform practically is powered by AI. Um, Examples, we auto adjust bit rates and frame rates. We have excellent jitter management. We have network estimation models. We can separate noises in real time, extremely efficient video encoding, super resolution, anti packet loss mechanism, ultra low latency. I mean, the list is almost endless. So I think practically, like I said, the entire platform itself is driven by AI. So, yeah, so this is what kind of makes Agora extremely unique. And we continue to go down this path of investing a lot of time, money, and resources on R&D.
Hmm. And Agora is indeed unique as it actually is employing the artificial intelligence on one side and even using analytics on other side, contributing to growth of this technologies as well. Great to know. And the COVID-19 pandemic has hit the industries very badly, right? And a lot of industries had to shut their doors, not knowing how to cope up with the situation. In such a case, how do you think the pandemic has actually accelerated the digitalization across various sectors?
Yeah, so when the pandemic hit us, I think all of us were taken by surprise in different ways. And a lot of industries have now come back thanks to technology like Agoras, which is enabling them to come back. And I'll give you some examples. I'll go back again to EdTech. I think education was one of the first few to actually adopt live voice and video to enhance what they were already offering in the past, but it only fast tracked whatever they were offering. And they were one of the first few to adopt real time engagement as a means to deliver live classes. So, edtech is one example. On the other end, we also have health tech, where while there was a sudden surge and there was a big load on the healthcare infrastructure, people, I think, eventually realized that a lot of the issues can be handled by remote intervention. So that is another area where we found healthcare environments and systems adopting health real-time engagement to deliver outcomes. Uh, the other place that we actually saw kind of a initially completely online, but then as time has gone by, a hybrid model is virtual events. So we see that there's a hybrid model emerging where a lot of events are getting conducted online, and it's mixing well with wherever there is an offline or a physical presence. It's kind of blending these two worlds together, and this also requires real time engagement. Another interesting area that we have seen technology getting adopted, real time engagement technology getting adopted, is e commerce, where earlier people would, and even now, people do shop for themselves, mostly alone. But with real time engagement, there's an element of social engagement that's coming in, where people are now talking to each other before making certain purchase decisions, seeking inputs from their friends or family before making certain purchase decisions online on e-commerce. So, and of course, we have seen a hike in gaming usage. All kinds of games and gaming environments are using real-time engagement. So yeah, so these are the different ways in which different industries have adopted to real-time engagement uh, despite or during the pandemic.
Great, and it is absolutely necessary for the ed tech as well as for the health tech, to stay ahead since they play a great role in situations like this pandemic. And coming to the virtual events and e-commerce, as you rightly pointed out, they are actually growing and can also benefit many. And during this pandemic time, many industries have been facing difficulties. So, what kinds of steps did Agora adopt to improve its digital experiences for its clients?
So we don't while we don't build applications, but what we do realize is that app builders and product managers and business owners need a platform that is extremely scalable and extremely efficient when it comes to live voice and video engagement. So our continued focus throughout the pandemic, even before and even now, has always been on keeping pace or being one step ahead of the demand that's likely to get generated because of various new use cases that we see in the market. So our focus has been on continued investment in infrastructure, continued investments in making our algorithms and platform better, and like I said, continued progress and investments in R&D. And one of the other things that I'd also like to point out is that we have recently uh, announced our low code kind of solutions, which developers and business owners can use to spin up their applications in literally 2 or 3 lines of code. So, this has been extremely helpful and beneficial to those who want to launch new products and services without having to wait for months together before they can actually integrate into something for real time voice and video engagement. So, these are some of the things that we've continued to do during the pandemic to ease and to help businesses adopt real time engagement.
Amazing, and it is really interesting to know about the low code solution that Agora is actually offering. And can you brief us about how healthcare sector has witnessed major change with regard to the real time engagement service that Agora is actually offering?
Yes, I'll actually break this down into three different subsections. While you may call it health tech, but I'll kind of break it down into three parts. One is what we call telemedicine. The other one is on the so telemedicine. I'm talking about the physical well-being aspect of it. The second part being the mental well-being part of it, and the third one being health and fitness. So Agora has seen adoption and growth in all these three areas, be it telemedicine, where you have doctor-patient conversations related to physical ailments and issues. We have seen adoption of Agora in the space of mental health and well-being because uh, truth be told, I think people are getting worried about their mental health given the situation that people find themselves in isolation or lack of social exposure and all that. So, mental health is extremely critical and important to solve for. And technologies like Agoras do help in this. And thirdly, we have also seen a lot of focus on the physical well being, which is the fitness side of things. So we have all these three things expanding and exploding under the health tech umbrella as we speak.
Wonderful. And can you also brief our listeners, what kind of solutions Agora offers with regard to these three streams?
Yes, so like I said, in the first one, which is the physical well being, it is more about doctor patient conversations and diagnostics. So that's that's the part where we enable live voice and video capabilities for doctors and patients to have conversations. So it's that side of these things. When it comes to mental well-being, it's again between the caregivers on the mental health side and people that need or seek uh, assistance in solving some of the issues that they are dealing with on the mental side of things. Again, either it could either be group conversations or it could be one-to-one conversations. The choice is left to the people in the ecosystem how they want to adopt it. And on the fitness side of things, it is real-time live fitness classes that get conducted. And because it allows for two-way communication, trainers can actually communicate with the people that they're training. They can check for posture, they can check for whether all the exercises are getting done properly or not. And there is a real time feedback mechanism that they have built on top of what Agora provides by way of real time voice and video. So these are the three different things. The good thing is that while these three are completely different use cases, the underlying technology is still the same. So it's extremely flexible and enough to any kind of use case that somebody would want to do in the domain of healthcare. Uh, I must also point out one other thing, another interesting use case that we have seen, which is a combination of IoT and real time engagement. And this we have seen in the case of diabetes management, where devices, once they notice that there is something off with the readings on the patient side, it triggers a call to the caregiver, and then the patient and the caregiver get on a conversation and try to figure out and fix whatever that issue might be. So this is an interesting adoption of IoT and real-time voice and video.
Yeah, it is indeed very interesting to know, the combination of IoT and the real-time engagement and all the three streams, whether it be through the telemedicine, providing services with regard to the mental health or the fitness or the physical health. It's really amazing to know because all these three are mandatory and they are very important, especially during the pandemic time.
True.
And since the 2020, things are getting more digital, whether it be schools or colleges, even work for that matter. So, on this lines, how do you see the future of the virtual environment? Do you think it is going to add industries good value to run beyond and then extend services in a long time, or how is it going to help?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we have seen so far is almost the base of the pyramid. Now that base of that pyramid is real-time voice and video engagement. Now that's almost like the de facto. That's a given that exists and that's here to stay. But I think the next steps would be very interesting to build for and watch for, and that is the aspect of uh, a layer of augmented reality or virtual reality in any of these segments that you spoke about. It could be edtech, it could be entertainment, it could be virtual events, it could even be interpersonal communication. So, a layer of avatars or a layer of virtual reality which leads to metaverses where I'm actually doing something over here and you have a similar environment on your side, but when we actually see it, we are seeing images of ourselves getting projected as if we are next to each other in a completely totally different environment altogether. So metaverses are interesting. Adoption of AR and VR, we feel, is going to drive the next level of engagement when it comes to real time. So these are some of the things that we are also constantly working on, and some of the recent partnerships that we announced with folks like HTC, for example, and HP are in this direction where it's geared towards the virtual reality environment or virtual reality overlaying a gaming kind of environment. So, yeah, we are extremely excited about what the future holds for us on top of real time voice and video.
Interesting. And yeah, when it comes to, gaming, it is the field that is actually constantly gaining momentum. Whether it be kids or elders, everybody likes, gaming. And it has been a kind of stress buster during the pandemic for most of the people. And to what extent do you think the real time engagement has transformed the gaming sector, since even Agora is also into it?
Yeah, so we can take two. We can look at two sides of the coin. If you look at the some of the reports that we have seen, where I think it was Deloitte that came out with a report that said that uh, it at a compounded annual growth rate, it's almost 40% that the gaming industry is expected to grow in where it was in 2019 to where it will be in 2022. So up from 1.9 billion in 2019 to about 2.8 billion in 2022. So that's a massive expectation growth rate on the gaming side. And if you look at the same report, it says that usage also has increased almost 21% in the amount of time that's spent. So while that's on the reporting side of things, we have seen a corresponding growth on our platforms where gaming has actually taken off big time. Probably because people have a lot of time now. They're not really commuting as much as they used to in the past. So and there's a level of engagement that's been built into a lot of the gaming platforms. It's not just about me playing a game with myself, but it's about me having a social engagement with other gamers and other players in that ecosystem. So it's a extremely thriving environment that we see there on the gaming side. And again, like AR and VR, we are extremely bullish on the gaming side of things as well. And it's showing in the numbers that we at least see internally that it's gaining a lot of traction and momentum in the past 12 to 18 months.
So, how would you see Agora over the period of next 5 years? Like, what kind of technologies does the company going to adopt?
So, while we will continue to invest in improving the platform capabilities with whatever new technologies will keep coming from time to time, from a use case or from a business point of view, I think we will see a lot of impact on the positive impact on the entertainment and sports business side of things for sure, where the experience is going to be more immersive. What we also anticipate is that traditional businesses like edtech will adopt and adapt to the changing landscape and bring in a lot of AR and VR and AI based learning mechanisms into their businesses. So that's another one. And I also feel that we will see advances on the tele education side of things. Right now, EdTech, while it does a good job on delivering what it does, but I think medical education requires a different kind of environment and kind of technology that will enable some of those learning outcomes to be more positive. So I feel that these are the areas that we will see a lot of improvements in the coming years, whether it's 5 years or 3 years or 2 years, I wouldn't know, but that's what we see as the future of real time engagement.
That really sounds interesting. And lastly, what advice would you like to give to the emerging and budding entrepreneurs who are turning towards the digital transformation space?
One very important factor to keep in mind is that attention spans of people are at a premium today. It's not the same level of attention that people have, especially given all the distractions that exist on their devices and around them. So there's a very small and finite window to deliver whatever message or service or product that people want to deliver to consumers. So keeping that in mind, I think those who want to get into building new products and experiences should mirror this shift in behavior while keeping while respecting privacy and preferences of your users. If I were to just kind of summarize this, products and services have to take into consideration that people are looking at at having shared experiences, and whatever products and services that you build should incorporate this whole context of shared experiences. I think uh, these are some of the high level things that we have seen being successful in the past, and I don't see any reason why this will not continue to be this will not continue to be almost like the gospel truth moving forward. So that's pretty much what I'd like to say if somebody were to ask me to wear my entrepreneur's hat.
Those things are actually very necessary, and hope our listeners have gained really valuable insights from this session. And looking forward to seeing many more such innovative solutions coming up from Agora's end. Thank you so much, Ranga, for joining us today. It was really a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Shivani.
So, listeners, stay tuned for more such interesting podcasts. Thank you. See you all again very soon.